Shabbat Shalom. Admea ve'esrim, Admea ve'esrim. We got to say that twice today, until 120, which I clarify, in good health and sound mind. So tell me, how do you make that happen? How do you live a long life? Any advice? Don't watch the news on TV. Very nice. So what you're saying is avoid stress. Okay. Anything else? Obey the Torah is also very helpful. Eat well. What do you mean by eat well? Like a large, huge meal. Eat healthy. So you're like saying I should be eating more kale and things like that. Eat more of the things I don't want to eat. Okay. Any other advice? Exercise. You mean I actually have to get up occasionally and like go outside and walk rather than drive or lift things that are heavier than I want to lift for no apparent reason other than just to move them up and down? None of you, you have a problem with it? We're deliberately making life harder for ourselves in order that life be longer, right? I deliberately eat things I don't want to eat. I deliberately move myself or lift things or do things in a physical way that I'd normally probably not choose to do because someone has told me this will develop my muscles, will develop my body, my cells, my composition in a way that will extend its existence. To be fair, though, there has been an awful lot of evidence that, yeah, you don't have to go crazy with the health food diets, you don't have to go crazy with exercise and become a triathlete. But actually, yeah, sometimes you have to do things that are harder, do things that feel perhaps a little bit uncomfortable in order to eventually develop your physical body to be able to carry you forward. Maybe not 120, that we need a little extra bonus in order to reach rather than just a decent exercise and diet. But without a decent exercise and diet, you shouldn't be counting on reaching that 100-year mark, let alone 120. But there's another muscle that no one really mentioned. No, not the brain muscle. That is also very, very important, and we could have a whole other sermon on that, but that's not the sermon for today. I mean the muscle of social interaction. Right? What you described are things that we do alone. Right? You sit and you do your quizzes. If you want to talk about brain, you sit and you plan your diet, your food. In fact, you may need to be entirely alone because other people may tempt you to eat their cherry pie and you don't want to do that. Many people prefer to exercise alone because they are ashamed of their body, unfortunately, and that means they're uncomfortable doing anything that others might be able to see. So we end up alone with the perfect body. But what about that alone part? Well, just like exercise, just like moving things that we wouldn't normally move in order to build up the muscle, sometimes we actually have to move ourselves socially in ways that we might not choose to do if we had our just pure druthers in the old English word. If we just had our own way with the world, we might cut ourselves off. I know that there are some extroverts out there that absolutely are desperate for being with other people's company, but most people tend to be in the middle, if not leaning towards introverted, which is they could take other people or not. And if other people are too much work, they'll generally choose not. In fact, the statistics on association are quite terrifying. People, generally speaking, have fewer friends now than they did 50 years ago. Think back to your parents' or grandparents' generations and how they describe the times they spent with their friends. Reflect upon your own or your children or grandchildren's generation and think of how many times they've mentioned more than one or two friends. Think back to the previous generations whose entire life, social life, was built around social activities. Their main hobbies were ones they did with others. Their main physical activities were ones they did with others. And now we are, in the words of Putnam's famous book, bowling alone. Brought from his insight that bowling alleys are busier than ever and bowling leagues have died. Meaning people are bowling one person per lane. They are not bowling in teams anymore. So what do? We have to exercise our social behavior. Yes, I know right now during COVID that seems a little tricky, and I get that. However, there are things that we still can do. Well, for one, it is possible to come to services. Our doors are open. But coming to services is an act of social exercise. I know from personal experience that sometimes it is easier to feel a certain spiritual uplift when davening by myself. I can set the speed how I want. I can linger on the prayer that I want and not feel that I am falling behind. I can focus on some aspects to the exclusion of others. And I don't have to worry about someone else chatting. I don't have to worry about the distraction of someone's phone going off or the sound that their babies are making. Or I don't have to worry about other people shushing me for the sounds I'm making. I don't have to worry about whether people are coming in late to disturb me. I don't have to worry about people giving me dirty looks because I came in late. When I'm by myself, I can just be purely spiritual. But that's not what God called us to do. God called us to be spiritual together because it's harder. The same way that you cannot build up your body by simply lifting something that is easy, but instead have to lift something that is burdensome, so too with our social muscle skills, we have to develop a strength to be able to be at peace and at joy with others, even when they are disturbing us, even when it takes more effort. And you only do that by being with them when it takes more effort. Of saying to yourself, yes, this davener is a little higher in pitch or a little lower in pitch than I would like, but I'm going to be here and I'm going to sing with them anyway. Yes, they may be faster, they may be slower, they may be using a different nusach than I like, a different melody set. That's good. Be thankful. They are giving you a workout. They are giving you an opportunity to develop the patience and the understanding and the brotherhood that comes with being with others that are different than ourselves, but recognizing that being with them is more important than having the perfect world that I would have if I were able to erase all of you and replace you with clones. Because that is not the perfect world. That would be a nightmare. But it's a nightmare that we continue to try and recreate. To curate our watch lists, to curate our listen lists, to have only the information, only the experiences that I want on my little device, you on your device, her on her device, and then we will all be happy. And yet we are more miserable than ever. We are more miserable than ever. And it is not because of COVID. It happened long before this. But what if right now you are unable to come to a service, you're unable to come into a physical space? I know that that is still a very real problem and concern for so many of our congregants. Well, there are other ways to involve yourself in the social exercise of your congregational family. Join a committee. I know, you can see people, wait a minute, wait. You want me to join in a committee, which even when we're physically can be taxing, but I'm going to log into Zoom, which means I have to make sure my background looks right. And I'm going to sit and watch people go, wait, you're muted. No, hold on a second. Wait, just a second. No, you're still muted. And then we're going to argue about something for 2 hours that I solved in the first 5 minutes. And I'm going to have to put up with all of these other opinions. We're going to have to put up with people saying the same things over and over again, or every meeting they bring up the same topic and it still gets shot down. That is somehow going to be good? Because it's hard. Yes. Because it puts you in a situation where you say, I value these people more than I am going to let the experience bother me. In fact that we have to debate, the fact that we have to discuss and disagree and argue and be disappointed with the outcome when it is not exactly what I would have done had someone made me the king of the shul, that is what is strengthening your spirit of brotherhood, your spirit of patience, your spirit of understanding that we don't measure our success in the world by the speed with which we get what we want, but we measure our success in the world by the way we engage with others on the same path. That is what our calling is. We are not here to get the job done. We are here to be together while the job is being done. And if we can't be together, we will solve nothing. Because whatever solution you imagine that you would have implemented for the committee had you been allowed to simply do it yourself and not bother with all these other people, would not have been accepted by all those other people. It only is accepted when everyone is willing to work together and accept the outcome even when it disappoints them, even when it is not 100% what they want. Once you realize that the cohesion is more important than the result, more important than the result being what you hoped, then you recognize that you win even when the vote went your other way on the board, or in the membership committee, or in the adult education committee, or whatever it would be. And I know it is tempting to simply want to do these things on your own. I know we have so many people that say, look, Rabbi, I want to run a program, or I want to donate some money, but I don't want a committee on this. I don't want a committee. Can we just, I'll donate the money, you and I will sit, we'll work out the program, we'll work out how we're going to spend the donation, and then it'll be done. I don't want this to go on the board. I don't want there to be a committee arguing about this. Let's just get it done. And, when it comes to fixing light bulbs, that's not such a problem. But when it comes to making decisions that affect us all, when it comes to shaping the culture, the flavor, the experience of our congregation, I'm sorry, you're going to have to do some exercise. You're going to have to jog the laps. You're going to have to lift the weights. You're going to have to see what you can bench press of working with other human beings. Because if you can't, then what are you actually donating towards? What are you supporting? What are you participating in? Is this a private hobby zone? The place where you go to do your fishing, but you don't want to talk to the other fisher people. Is that it? I don't think so. I know all the people in this room, and I know the people who are watching do not feel that way. And yet we have become so conditioned to almost resent the pressure that is pushed back on us when we engage with other humans, as to feel that it is somehow not worth it, rather than recognizing that that is actually the goal. Whatever we accomplish together is secondary to being together. Because if we are not together, then we accomplish nothing, no matter what we may think we have achieved. Synagogues are vital for continuing this place of exercise, this gym of social interaction. Because it is a place where we come in with a mutual understanding of respect and love, for we are all Jews in this room. And we understand what that means. And that then gives us license to put on the sweatbands, pick up the weights, and do the work. And we're going to come out sweatier than we came in. And we're going to come out a little sore, and our muscles are going to ache. But that just means you're getting stronger. So you come back the next day, and you do a few more reps. Shabbat Shalom.